Hey guys, the Sonic the Hedgehog timeline just released in Japan. That means we're gonna have to translate it. But today we're gonna be seeing what we can actually learn from the translated timeline. Let's go ahead and hop right in. But first, I need to read this out for you. Give me a couple of seconds. Well, not a couple of seconds, 0.1 milliseconds in your time. One last note, this is the canon timeline's highlights. Stay tuned for more things to get added in the future. Let's go ahead and pop this in the top right corner. And let's begin. Prehistory isn't actually prehistory. Basically, there are two events that happen in this timeline currently. Those are, with the destruction and regeneration of planet Earth by Light and Dark Gaia coming before the ancients bring the Chaos Emeralds to Earth, when were the Chaos Emerald shrines built, and who built them? This brings up so many questions and makes the lore so much deeper just by putting things in this order. Obviously, Light and Dark Gaia have to happen at least once before the shrines are built, because nobody knows what Light and Dark Gaia actually are at that point. But who built them is a very cool question, and I hope it's literally just not the Echidna tribe, because if the Echidna tribe does everything, well then I'm gonna be going insane. So insane, literally the most insane in history. Anyway, let's move on. For these next couple of ones, we're going to be adding information very quickly so we can get to the really cool shit. Are you ready? Let's go. Let's go. Everything's in order. Okay, everything is literally in order. The earliest spotting of Dark Gaia was him coming from a star to destroy Earth, which I'm not really sure is true because he was on Earth before the ancients got here, but it's in the spot of 10,000 years ago, which makes this a lore plot hole, which kinda sucks that we're getting a timeline and we already have something wrong with it, but also this is in Japanese. The Sonic timeline may just casually confirm that air-based Mobians come from a different planet than land-based Mobians, and also sea-based Mobians may be out there on different planets. Not entirely sure. The Echidna tribe is destroyed by the water god Chaos. I was wrong, they only dropped off one Griffith temple, which doesn't make any sense. Their entire thing would have been way easier if they dropped off multiple. Emerald is created. Black Doom makes a pact with Gerald Robotnik in order to create Shadow in exchange for the Chaos Emeralds within 50 years. You know the story. Sonic 06 will be skipped when I'm talking about the timeline. Not only because Sonic 06 is quite literally erasing itself from canon, but also because it's a lot of bloat of things that don't actually matter and are technically just theories at this point. So even though Sonic 06 did happen, it also erases itself, so there's no point in talking about it because it's useless information until the events or something else is brought back. And it also causes another problem. Silver the Hedgehog is there, but Sonic Rivals isn't in the timeline, so we're not sure when it takes place. Now we're at the best parts of the timeline, and the classic Sonic timeline is pretty much completely cooked. During the events of Sonic 1, there's only 6 Chaos Emeralds, and Sonic literally has to stop Eggman from getting those 6 Chaos Emeralds. But instead of immediately going over to Sonic 2, he goes to Sonic CD, and Sonic CD reads this. You see, you already know that Amy is his first best friend, his bestie, some shall say, and you already know Metal Sonic is his first rival. But what this also confirms is that the only reason why his technology is getting so advanced in this game is because of the time traveling properties of the planet itself. Eggman didn't actually start getting very good at robotics until later at the timeline. Now, you may say this is very rudimentary and that actually this doesn't make any sense, but based on the things we see in the later games up to Sonic 4, it makes a lot of sense on why people think this and why it makes sense for Eggman to not actually be super genius level at this point. Sonic and Tails just crash into Angel Island using the Death Egg because they decided to destroy it, and instead of being the greatest civilians of all time and crashing it into a lake or something, they just let it flash into an island. Also, if it crashed into the island, why isn't it still there today? Well, you already know the answer, but I just wanted to put some some intrigue, some mystery in here for you guys. Basically, Knuckles and his death egg. I said Knuckles and his death egg. Eggman and his death egg quite literally just get destroyed at the end of Sonic 3 after like launching off into space, so it doesn't literally cause it an extinction level event on Angel Island by blowing up Knuckles and everything on it. You know, obvious answer. But you know, that's the end of like the classic trilogy. Now we get to move on to other trilogies. Eggman gets our first plot hole of the day, well, our second technically because of other stuff, but this is our first plot hole technically because Eggman gets the Phantom Ruby, but in Sonic Forces he does research on it but doesn't know what it actually is and then puts it into Infinite, which quite literally is just a plot hole from my understanding of the Sonic lore and the Sonic timeline. For the longest time I didn't make a video about Infinite, basically because I thought that Infinite had the original Phantom Ruby in his chest and that Sonic Mania Plus isn't actually real. But Infinite has to be dead in order for them to get the original Phantom Ruby back, or the original Phantom Ruby wasn't actually in Infinite's chest and he only had one of the prototypes. I'm not sure which one, but I can now go make a video about Infinite with no problems because I know exactly what's going on now. Superstars happens, but it doesn't really tell you anything like cool or new about the thing, except for Fang is cool and Trip is cool. That's pretty much it. Like, that's all it says. But now we can move on to the actually cool part of the timeline. Welcome to the Adventure Era, and this pretty much helps with my theory that Eggman is intelligent, but he didn't have the means to actually legitimately build advanced machinery like that. Like, I believe that the death egg is actually less powerful than Metal Sonic, and that may sound insane, but like, think about it. This man, Eggman, is literally trying to get back onto Little Planet just to get Metal Sonic. Like, Metal Sonic isn't like super important. He would have just left it and not cared. But then he simultaneously gets Metal Sonic, and then after he gets Metal Sonic, he builds the Death Egg Mod 2, which is way stronger and way more powerful than the original Death Egg, and that's his like first adventure going into the Adventure Era, the modern Sonic era. It's kind of insane. And then instead of trying to build things for a while, he just instead starts to, you know, wake things up. He just starts to wake things up and make those things do his bidding. And you'll see throughout this adventure timeline that either Eggman wakes something up or something betrays him and they do the work for him. It's just kind of a running cycle at this part of the timeline. This is literally the first time Sonic is summoned to another world intentionally by the person who summoned him. This is just the first time it happens. Is it like a particularly fun time? No, the game isn't very good. If Mario Party exists, everyone would like this game. It's just the simple fact where, you know, the game has no value and the story has no juice. So let's move on. Sonic Adventure 2, you know the story. You've seen Sonic 3, you've seen Sonic Adventure 2. You know what goes on here. I don't really have to explain it. But gist is, Shadow comes out because of Gerald Robotnik. Gerald Robotnik literally dies by firing squad. Shadow then later dies because he learned the error of his ways and decided to sacrifice himself to save the planet. Cream cheese and vanilla and Chonkla and Chonkla started existing during the events of Sonic Advanced 2. Yeah, I hope we actually get dates of when these characters are born, because this shit's getting insane. Like, just random characters are existing at random points. I want to know when these characters are born. Metal Sonic literally comes back and literally just immediately outclasses all of Eggman's machines again. Kinda makes you wonder why he just doesn't build a army of Metal Sonics and devoid them all of personality. Hopefully they answer this question in the next Sonic movie that comes out. But as of now, Metal Sonic is just the most powerful thing on the planet, and Eggman refuses to use him for a long time. It's kind of crazy. Here is a very cool thing about the Black Arm section, well, the Black Doom section, or the Shadow the Hedgehog section, whatever you want to call it. You see, in the text, it says sometimes at odds with Sonic and the others, which means he did not go straight on the hero path or straight on the neutral path. He went a little bit on the dark path every now and then just went side to side, back and forth, you know, everything in between. So he is having fights with Sonic and the others, Black Doom and the others, and he might even just be getting the Chaos Emeralds too. But let's make this very clear. We do not know the exact path he went on, and I feel like before we get another Shadow-centered game, we should get a clear definition on what's going on with that part of Shadow's timeline, because that part of Shadow's timeline can really add a little bit of character to it. And in fact, I think that Shadow the Hedgehog should literally just get a movie that's based on Shadow the Hedgehog game, you know? Emerald literally comes back into the story, and Sonic literally kills. There's nothing real gained from this part of the timeline, except for, you know, everything that Gerald did, but everything that Gerald did is no longer important at this stage in the timeline, because Sonic Adventure 2 already happened, and Shadow the Hedgehog already happened, so there's nothing that Emerald can do that makes him any more clear or any more distant from the timeline. Yeah, I feel like this is a pretty good place to stop for right now, because now I can just go in detail into all the things that actually have like dedicated, really big lore, huge implications and stuff. So this is where we're gonna stop, and then, you know, in 4 days I'll have your next video. Hopefully you can hit that like, subscribe button, and then meet me back when I come back with a new video. Thanks.
Grumpy, bashful, and Tyrone. I never save a black beacher's number in my phone. It's the Mambo King, Xavier Cougat. Call me Mario, nigga, cause I'm wearing my coon hat. Some of my best friends are black, but they say I'm fucking racist. Homie, I ain't the one who put your ass on a slave ship.